Right, let me just get my tea. Today we're looking at pencils. We're not going to get technical about drawing, we're just looking at pencils because the way you hold your pencil, the type of pencil you have, is like the most fundamental thing about drawing. Okay, they don't need to be expensive pencils. This is what I'm going to say now. They don't need to be expensive. So here I have laid out just a few pencils, and this one is, I think it's a 5H. And then they go through to the Bs, right? And then the one in the middle is the HB. So H means hardness of lead. And when you use it, it scratches, it feels quite hard against the paper. Now, some people really like using these. My personal preference is to go a bit softer. The next one is an H. So it's still quite hard, but not as hard as the 5H. So if you have a tin of pencils, experiment. The pencil that most people are familiar with is the HB, so that is hardness and blackness. Blackness just means the softness of the lead. Right? So when you start moving into the B range, I think this to be or not to be, that is the question, you're going to feel how soft they are. And then each pencil, as you get higher and higher, so 2B, 3B, 4B, this is a 5B that I'm using now, it gets softer each time you use them, and you get more of a range when you're shading. The darkness, it's easier to get the darkness, and they're great for shading, right? So pencils, just move them across to the side. And what we also use, and what I tend to use quite a bit, is a putty rubber, which is that manky looking thing that looks a little bit like blue tack, but it's quite a useful thing to use there. So I have one of those. You can squidge the end so it makes a bit of a point, and you can draw with it as well. I'll come on to that later on another session. So you can see it smudges stuff out. It's quite useful tool. I use that a lot. Also have a normal rubber or razor, we want to call it. I don't use it very often. A metal pencil sharpener, that is my preference. The plastic ones, they're not so good. The lead gets caught at the end and then it gets stuck, and then you're having to get it out. Other people might say to use a Stanley knife to get the point of the pencil. Everyone's different. So there's me rolling my pencils around. So if we were to get one of the pencils and have a little play with it, the way you hold the pencil can influence the way you draw. So I tend to hold mine to start with right at the tip, so very close to the lead. Now what I'm doing at the minute is, if we're handwriting, we do tend to hold our pens or pencils quite close. We want to move our fingers back a little bit more and put our finger on the page, our little finger on the page as a support, and start with a full stop and flick up, and flick, 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 flick up, and you'll feel it in your wrist. And then if you move your fingers up again, up further up the pencil, that's it, and then you rest on the side of your hand and you can rock it, and where you've moved your finger further up the pencil, you have a broader stroke that you can make. All right, so the first one, I call that the handwriting. The second one I call slant number one, and this is what I teach my guys. This is what I use. Again, it's my personal approach. Everyone is different. Then for the next bit, move your hand right up to the end of the pencil. It looks like a little baton or something, or a conductor of an orchestra. This gives you more free movement with your pencil, and you can see that you can really go across in quite a loose way, and you'll feel it further up your arm. All right, and then if you put pressure on your pencil and push really hard and then release the pressure, you can get a grade, and it can go from dark to light. So in a minute, I'm just going to show you how you can use that to make it into a cylinder. So it's not just the pencil and the way you hold it, it's the pressure that you put on it. So push down with the pressure so it's quite dark, and then gently, as you're going along, lift that pressure just slightly, and just slightly, and a little bit more. And I'm going to do it again so you can see it. All right, and then you can see how one side is dark and one side is light. And what I'm going to do is do a little line underneath using the idea of slant number 1, so the point of my pencil, and I'm going to put pressure on the left hand side. All right, and I'm just going to shade that in to finish it off. So I'm imagining that this cylinder, very simple cylinder, has light coming in from the left hand side. So the left hand side is dark and the right hand side is lighter. There you go. So that should keep you going for a little bit, and there'll be more to come. So take care, guys. Bye.